Hi guys, welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Shamika Faith, also known as Face by Faith. In today's Bible study, we are diving into the book of Job. And the question or topic is, will you still glorify, praise, and worship God during times of suffering? So let's get right into it. The book of Job is a story that has taught me so much that God can give and he takes, but ultimately he restores. I feel like it's also relatable to a lot of us, all of us. You know, there's times and seasons where things don't go as planned, things don't make sense, and we may even lack a little bit of faith, but reading Job reminds us to keep that faith and to keep trust in God through Jesus. I also wanted to highlight that the enemy smiles the moment we question and doubt God. So don't give him the satisfaction of that. The enemy wants to take captive of our thoughts and our mind. And once he has it, he gives us thoughts that God isn't real because all these bad things are happening. God doesn't love me. God will never forgive me. He gives us all these negative thoughts that are not of him. So remember that. Stay strong and you will prevail. And God will always restore what was taken. I'm going to read chapter 1 only for today's video. I will be breaking up the book of Job's into a series on my channel, so stay tuned for that. But for today, only chapter 1. It has 22 verses, so bear with me. I will definitely be, stopping in between. So it reads, "There once was a man named Job who lived in the land of Uz. He was blameless, a man of complete integrity. He feared God and stayed away from evil. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters. He owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 teams of oxen, and 500 female donkeys. He also had many servants. He was, in fact, the richest person in that area." So Job was rich. Job did not need for anything, okay? He had it all. He had the family, he had the farm with many animals, and he had houses, okay? Job's son would take turns preparing feasts in their home, and they would also invite their 3 sisters to celebrate with them. When these celebrations ended, sometimes after several days, Job would purify his children. He would get up early in the morning and offer a burnt offering for each of them. For Job said to himself, "Perhaps my children have sinned and have cursed God in their hearts." This was Job's regular practice. Now I'm going to stop right there. I love that. Job was very intentional and he just wanted to make sure that he was covering his family because he wanted them to have favor with God. He wanted them to be blessed, and he wanted to make sure that they, even if they are unintentionally cursing God in their hearts, that he's covering them. So I think that was very intentional and beautiful for him to do. 6 goes on to say, "One day the members of the heavenly court came to present themselves before the Lord, and the accuser Satan came with them. 'Where have you come from?' the Lord asked Satan. Satan answered the Lord, 'I have been patrolling the earth, watching everything that's going on.' Then the Lord asked Satan, 'Have you noticed my servant Job? He is the finest man in all the earth. He is blameless, a man of complete integrity. He fears God and stays away from evil.' Satan replied to the Lord, 'Yes, but Job has good reason to fear God. You have always put a wall of protection around him and his home and his property. You have made him prosper in everything he does. Look how rich he is. But reach out and take away everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face.'" So I'm going to stop right there because Satan thought he was reading God to filth, okay? So this was a big test to see, if I take things away, are you still going to praise me? Are you still going to love me? Are you still going to honor me? So God says in verse 12, "All right, You may test him, the Lord said to Satan. Do whatever you want with everything he possesses, but don't harm him physically. So Satan left the Lord's presence. So I'm going to stop right there, because do you realize that God needs to give Satan permission to do anything in his life? So same with us. The devil cannot do anything without the permission of God. And I'm going to take it further. Sometimes we ourselves open doors for the demonic evil spirits to torment us in whatever aspect they want, because we have opened that door. Sometimes our disobedience leads us to destruction because we weren't supposed to watch this movie, listen to this music, or get drunk last Saturday. But because we got drunk, we allowed the enemy to come into our mind and tell us certain thoughts and evoke the spirit of anger or evoke the spirit of lust. You understand? So because doors are open that we allow, the enemy has grounds to do X, Y, and Z. Ultimately, if you're living the most righteous life and you claim to not sin, that's a lie. Like we all sin at some point in time. We all fall short. But even if you are super righteous like Job, Satan still has to come through God. That's how powerful he is. Nothing gets past God. And ultimately, this was a test to see Job's faith, to see if Job was going to fold. 13 says, one day when Job's sons and daughters were feasting at the elder brother's house, a messenger arrived at Job's home with this news. Your oxen were plowing with the donkeys feeding beside them. When the Sabaeans raided us, they stole all the animals and killed all the farmhands. I am the only one who escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another messenger arrived with this news. The fire of God has fallen from heaven and burned up your sheep and all the shepherds. I am the only one who escaped to tell you. 17 goes on to say, while he was still speaking, a third messenger arrived with this news. 3 bands of Chaldean raiders have stolen your camels and killed your servants. I am the only one who escaped to tell you. While he was still speaking, another messenger arrived with this news. Your sons and daughters were feasting in their oldest brother's home. Suddenly, a powerful wind swept in from the wilderness and hit the house on all sides. The house collapsed, and all your children are dead. I am the only one who escaped to tell you. Job stood up and tore his robe in grief. Then he shaved his head and fell to the ground and worshipped. I have to stop there before I tell you what Job said. This man lost everything like that. So the enemy, Satan, was on it. God gave him the okay, which he needed, and he was on it. And what did Job do? He ripped his clothes off and worshipped. This is what he says. I came naked from my mother's womb, and I will be naked when I leave. The Lord gave me what I had, and the Lord has taken it away. Praise the name of the Lord. In all of this, Job did not sin by blaming God. That is one man that is God's strongest soldiers. Like Job was one of God's strongest soldiers, I'm telling you, because he just heard that his children died. They stole his animals, killed his servants. It's just, he went through a lot in such a short period of time. Like in 1 minute, probably. All the messengers came back to back to back to back to deliver this to him. And he went on his knees to glorify God. I think the key takeaway from chapter 1 is that he didn't blame God. We are so quick to be like, God, why me? Why are you doing this to me? I'm so perfect. We think so highly of ourselves. Like, seriously, we really do. But we are not bigger than the program. Okay? Just remember that. And Job didn't blame God. So now when I read that, I'm able to say, when were the times that I blamed God for things going wrong? But ultimately, he restored it. I'm not at the restoration part of Job. I will get there later in this series, but tying it back to me, and I'm sure you guys can relate, anytime that things didn't go as planned, didn't it make sense later down the line? Like, oh, that's why I didn't get that job. That's why we're no longer friends. That's why I'm no longer in this relationship. Like, it all ties together. So it's like, if you're going through a phase right now in your life where God has taken things away from you, you're just in chapter 1. You're not at chapter 42 yet. You understand? You're not at the other chapters. Reading Job, he's going through it in chapter 1, but I already know how this story ends. You see what I'm saying? We don't know how our story ends, but there's hope in that. There's faith in that, that God will restore, God will repair, God will bring better and bigger blessings. There has been times, y'all, where I lost a job and I really needed the money years ago, and I just could not understand why I was jobless. This was this is a little after COVID. I was just struggling financially, emotionally, mentally, and all I could do was get on my knees and pray, because after I cried, kicked, and screamed, I'm just like, God, I'm still going to glorify you, because ultimately, I'm not in this relationship with you for things. I'm not treating you like a genie. I pray to you to get this. I pray to you to get this. But I want to have a genuine relationship with you, my father, my friend. So in that season, I knew that God stripped certain things from me so that I could focus on him, so that I can build with him, so that our relationship could strengthen and we could be locked in twins. I just knew it. I couldn't really understand it initially, but as the months went on, because I was jobless for months, I would say 6 months actually, God still provided food, provided shelter, provided clothes. I still had a working phone. I still had my hair did. Like, these are all little vanity things, but the main things were important: the food and shelter and clothes. I still had running water. So it's like God still provided in times where I needed, or I felt like I needed to have a job and I needed X, Y, and Z in my bank account. Of course, I had credit card bills, still do. I still had bills, and that's what really makes you stress, because these things are still coming. But I'm saying all that to say, in that season of my life, I wanted to get closer to him because I didn't want him to be offended. What do I mean by that? I didn't want him to be like, looking at me like, girl, you only call on me when you need things. You don't got nothing. Are you still going to call on me? Girl, you only using me. I don't want him to feel like I'm using him as a genie. I wanted to actually praise him when I don't got nothing. And that is what made me mature in my faith. That is what made me closer to him. That is what made me love him even more, because I didn't have all of those things, but I still had health and strength. He still had me healthy, y'all. He still had me healthy and breathing. After the 6 months, I got a job. That job ended not because of anything that I did, but it just collapsed. It's done. So I was just like, you know what, God, I've been here. I've done that. I'm going to pray. I'm going to fast. I'm going to have faith. The next month I got something, and getting this job, I got the pay that I prayed for. I got this position that I wasn't really qualified for. Like, I've been in the medical field, so I had knowledge because I was around it, but this position really required me to have certain things under my belt that I didn't have. Long story short, I learned on the way, I learned on the whim, and that was God. The Holy Spirit was working with me, through me, and I'm so grateful for it. I prayed that this position will elevate me financially and spiritually. I was able to serve people there. I was able to be at service, and I would go there with a smile on my face, because I know that this was a job in position for me for a purpose and a season. I took 3 buses to get there. It was in a different borough, living in New York at the time. So it took me 1 hour and 30 minutes to get there. And I did it with a smile on my face. And everybody would think that I'm crazy, but I'm like, y'all, I am blessed. Y'all have no idea what I went through before this. So I'm going to take my 3 buses 1 hour and 30 minutes away. I'm going to Go, do it with a smile, serve my patients, be there to help them, not only do what I'm supposed to do in the medical field, but actually listen and talk to the elderly, talk to the psych patients that need attention emotionally. And I will talk about God. You know, you're in the work office and you're not supposed to talk about religion. I didn't give a dang. I spoke about my father. They will call me, some of my coworkers be like, yes, girl, you better preach. Like, I'm not even preaching. It's from the heart, you know? So after talking to certain patients about how good God is, they took that and ran with it, you know? And it was just a beautiful thing. God placed me there just to align with my old work family that I love still to this day. They are my family and my friends, and I've gained people that pray for me, and they have gained someone that can pray for them. And that's what it's about. God uses us in certain rooms for specific reasons, and I believe that I was there for 3.5 years to be of service, to be a servant of God. Just know that God will restore what he has taken. And he has taken away things for a reason. You may not know what that reason is today, but a couple months down the line, it's going to make sense. A couple years down the line, you're going to be connecting the dots. It's like our story is a book, and we don't know what chapter 30 is yet. God knows, because he's all knowing, right? He knows the beginning and the end, but there's beauty in not knowing. That allows us to have faith. That allows us to call on him when we don't have anything but him. So truly, we do have everything. He's life. He's the way, he's the truth, he's the life. So with him, we actually have it all. You see what I'm saying? When you don't have the tangible things, you're still not alone. He's with you. He knows where you're going. He knows where you need to end up. And it's up to us to trust him, to cling onto the faith, and be obedient to him. He's going to test what we're going to do in times of suffering. Your suffering and how your character changes and builds is really to mold you and shape you into the person you need to be, because you're about to receive grand blessings. You're about to receive the abundance, but how is your character going to handle it? God needs to trust you, to trust that you're obedient, and to trust that you know how to handle the next season of your life. So your character is going to have to shift in order to handle what he's about to place in your hands. You can't come into the new season as that old person. So this pain, this suffering, this torment that you may be going through, and I only put quotes, but I don't want to disrespect anyone that is going through a lot, but whatever you're going through is changing you for the better. Continue to lean on him, and don't give the enemy the satisfaction of doubting God and of thinking that he's not real because you're going through these things of life. Don't give the enemy the satisfaction. Love God, lean on him, and I will see you in the next video for the Job series. Oh, and don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Put on your post notification bells so that you get notified the next time Faith by Faith drops. See you next time. Bye.